We're quickly moving into hot soup and stew weather, and I've been wanting to make a crochet version of those popular fabric bowl cozies. You know, the ones I'm talking about? Well, this week I came up with a really simple idea, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, so I thought I'd share it with you today. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we're taking the classic Magic Potholder and adapting it with just a couple of simple rounds to create that perfect cozy shape. Now, if you're not familiar with how to make a Magic Potholder, I do have a video that is step by step. Basically, the cliff notes for a Magic Potholder is to start with a chain that's twice the width that you want your finished potholder to be. So for example, if you want a 6 by 6 inch potholder, then you would make a 12-inch starting chain. And then you just work single crochets, back loop only, in continuous rounds to form a long rectangle. You're just going to flatten it, fold it, seam the open ends together. I show how to do a flat seam join that I really like. And you have a finished double thick Magic Potholder. It's a fast make, a lot of fun, and a lot of people love it. For my potholders, I'm using a weight 4 cotton yarn with a 4mm hook. This is really important. If you do want to put this in the microwave, it has to be 100% cotton. If you use something like acrylic, it's going to melt in the microwave and it's definitely not safe. Double check that your cotton yarn doesn't have any acrylic in it. Sometimes it's added to help soften the cotton to make it a little bit easier to work with. That's a complete no-no if you want it to go in the microwave. The formula I shared earlier, it works really well for figuring out the size of your squares, but one thing to keep in mind, sizes will vary depending on your yarn. For example, here, both of these are supposed to be 6 by 6 inches, and I used the same hook and chain count, and you can see the difference in size. It may be hard to see on camera here, but they are the same weight, same brand, but the purple one is much thinner, and as you can see, the sizing is much smaller. So just keep that in mind when you're making yours. If yours doesn't come out to exactly the same measurements as mine, you can see that this does happen. Now, to figure out what size square you want to make, all you have to do is measure the diameter of the widest part of your bowl. So for example, if your bowl has a diameter of 7 inches, then you want to make a 7 by 7 inch square. Or if the diameter is around 6 inches, then you want to do a 6 by 6 inch square. So you can see this one that worked a little bit bigger works perfectly for my bigger bowl because it fits about the 7 by 7 inch size. So to turn this into a cozy, you're going to make your square like you normally would, or you can take an existing one that you already have. And before fastening off, you're going to do 2 rounds of single crochets along the edge. For that first round, we're going to do very deep decreases on all 4 sides to form the shape, followed by another round of single crochets to continue the shaping. The patterns that I'm working with are the ones that I shared in the other video, and that's a chain of 41 with 20 rounds to form a square. This roughly gives you about 19 stitches or spaces on the sides to work into. The easiest way to count that is to count these little stripes that were created from the back loop only. The number that I'm working with is 19. In the middle of each side, we're doing a 5 single crochet decrease. So basically, we're going to do 7 single crochets along the side, do a 5 single crochet decrease, followed by 7 more single crochets. Now that count does include the corners. The corners are 1 single crochet, chain 1, or 2 if you want it to be a little bit wider, 1 single crochet. Now obviously we don't have a really clean stitch to work into, so my goal here is just to go through, making sure to catch at least 2 stitches above my hook. You may find it useful to plot out those first 7 single crochets before the decrease to make sure that it sits in the middle. Same goes for your corners. You may want to figure out ahead of time where that corner is going to go. If you're starting on a completed pot holder, just fasten on into any corner that you like. If you're continuing on after doing your seam, go into your first corner with 1 single crochet. We're going to finish the corner when we complete the round. So that's 1 single crochet towards our center. Work 6 more single crochets. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As you can see, that's curling up a little bit. That's okay, we want that. Now we're going to do 5 single crochets together. I'm making my stitches right before the side bars. I'm finding that the hook works really well in there. To do 5 single crochets together, go into your first stitch, pull up a loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should see 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. Chain 1, and then continue on to the next corner with 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That is including our corner, so that was the first single of our corner. Let's go ahead and chain 2 and add a single crochet into the same stitch that you just worked into. Map out where you want your stitches to go. Remember, 7 across, 5 for the decrease, 7 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 singles together. 1, 2, noticing I'm pulling up quite high with my tension here. I don't want to be too tight, otherwise it's going to be really hard to work into. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. Chain 1 and continue on to the next corner with 7 single crochets. Remember, the 7th is a corner or the beginning of a corner. Chain 2, single crochet into the same stitch. And you're just going to continue this for the remaining 2 sides. Now, as you're doing this, if you find that this is just working way too tight for you, then just simply adjust the numbers. This is what's working for me and my tension, my hook. But if you need to give yourself some more single crochets on the sides, then by all means readjust. Your goal here is just to create a very steep decrease. At the final corner, single crochet, chain 2, slip stitch into the first single made, And that's your decrease round completed. And you're going to create this beautiful little edge for your bowl. Now I did a chain 2 to finish off, but I prefer to finish in the middle because I'm going to do another round of single crochets. So rather than doing a chain 2, I'm going to replace that with a half double crochet. So I'm putting the yarn around the hook, going into that very first single I made for that corner, pulling through, yarning over and pulling through all 3. That places me in the middle. For the corners, I'm going to do 3 single crochets. If that's too tight, then you can bump it up to 4 or 5. But here I'm going to do 3. I'm going to start with 2 in this first corner and do my final one when I come back. And now a single crochet all the way across in every single from the previous round. Here's my chain 2 corner space, 3 singles, continuing on with single crochets along the side. Final corner, single crochet, then I'm going to fasten off with an invisible join, snipping my yarn, grabbing my finishing needle, going into the top of the second stitch, not the first single crochet, but the second single crochet, going under both loops, and then the back loop only at the very last loop made of the round to complete a seamless join. And then just weave in however you like best. Now usually my seam stays nice and flat, but with this yarn for some reason it's all raised and clunky looking, so I'm a bit frustrated with that, but that's okay. I can either leave it as is or I can turn it inside out and reshape it. If you have a granny square that you love, you absolutely could use this technique on it, but I would recommend that you take at least 2 squares and sandwich them together, because when I tried this with one, it was just too flimsy. This is why I ended up using the Magic Potholder. The double layer really helps to form the shape, and it also makes it feel literally cozy. This feels really good in my hands, and it's going to keep my bowl of super stew nice and warm. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like is always appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.